Hi guys, this is Ted Ottey for ESFI World. I'm here with Marcus Graham, also known as
What's
djWHEAT, backstage at MLG.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, unfortunately, you're backstage here. You're not outside in the crowd. You're casting all day. But despite that, I'm sure you can feel the energy from out there. How has your MLG gone thus far?
I mean, it's been great, man. I won't lie. The format, it takes a little bit getting used to because up to this point, of course, in the 6 previous events, you have the championship pools that took place. So you would always have an amazing matchup to start off the day. And although we did have the Global Invitational, we actually started casting with some of the first round 256 open bracket. You can imagine there were some stinkers in there, but it's still good because it's new talent coming in. It's guys trying their best, wanting to get a shot to play against the 21 Korean skier. So it's been amazing nonetheless, and I'm okay with that. In traditional esports competitions, a lot of times it has been you have to start with, you don't get group play. You have to narrow it down first, and so in the tradition of that, it wasn't too unfamiliar.
So MLG brought in a lot of extra casters for this event, especially because they increased the total stream numbers. How has that been for you as the caster? Originally, we're talking last year, it was you, Day 9, and JP were the only ones, and now you have a whole host of team. Is it easier for you?
Oh, yeah. I think every one of the casters would tell you that it's easier for them. I mean, no stranger to like 18-hour days when it comes to shoutcasting. Certainly done it before. I think the longest we ever did in the MLG was something like 13, 14 hours, like one of the early events where we had some of those unfortunate internet delays, etc. But anytime you have more casters, there's not only the opportunity to try out new dynamics and like to actually cast with people who, in my opinion, or in my expertise, I've like casted with Tasteless a long time ago, get a chance to cast with him again. Cast with Artosis a while ago, get a chance to cast with him again. So I like mixing it up, but anytime you get a break, it's great. I mean, these matches, as these players get better, they get longer. The efficiency here at MLG is quite good, so there's always a match up for that. So when you do 3, 4 in a row, it can drain you, and having backup casters and guys to jump in and just anytime I can, like, I'm good, guys, I've been refreshed, throw me in, coach. It's nice.
And I'm sure having water and tea nearby definitely helps.
Tons. Yeah.
So with that regard, MLG has gone through a lot of changes this year, and there's going to be a lot of changes going on next year. But from your standpoint, as as a caster, what is one thing that you would like to see changed for either the format or overall for MLG next year? And then as a fan, what is something that you would like to see changed?
Okay.
Or improved, added, removed?
Sure. I mean, it's really hard to comment first and foremost as a fan, because, well, I mean, I guess it's not that hard to comment because even up as a caster, like I've admittedly got one of the best seats in the house, no doubt about it. So, I mean, as a fan, I hope that there is more prize money so that it does attract that wider audience. So, I mean, I would say as a caster and a fan, anything that's going to bring the best talent here, there's no doubt that this is one of the most amazing pools of talent that we've seen at any StarCraft 2 competition. So if you think about it, over time, of course, that the legacy MLG is built, but also the prize money plays a big part in bringing over the best players from every corner of this world to fight it out. So I think that plays a major part of it. Obviously, as a fan, I think that just based off some of the feedback that I've heard from fans, they want a little bit more access to some of the players. They want more seats, and these are all great problems to have, right? Because your players are loved. They want more fan interactions. Fans want more interaction, and if there's more seating needed, it probably means that there's more people coming. So I guess those are like the two major things. As far as the format's concerned, I like it. I mean, I've never been to an MLG where there hasn't been an unbelievable unbelievable matchup that I'll remember for the rest of my life. So I think that's a pretty good indication that they're doing things right.
Yeah, and I think when you bring some of the best talent together, it doesn't really matter what the format it is. You're going to get a good match, in some form or another.
I agree. I mean, there was certainly some hardships amongst not only the community but also the players, with certain people that the community didn't feel maybe deserved it or shouldn't be here, or this player should be in the championship pools. And frankly, the format did support a way that said those who participated more were going to get rewarded for that. And so as a result, that's how it worked out. I think that as we go into a new season, that'll probably change a little bit. So,
well, it's supposedly going to change. We interviewed Sundance a little bit earlier, so changes are on the way.
All right.
But so recently, you actually just joined up with Twitch TV, quit the old real job, and back to esports full time, like you were when you were working at CGS and a few other stints as well. Generally speaking, as of right now, how has that gone for you to go back to esports full time, 24/7?
Well,
maybe not 24/7.
Sure. It's kind of interesting because I guess I should say first and foremost that while I am sort of returning to esports full-time, it's not necessarily returning to esports full-time, right? Because obviously there's a lot of business functions that I now take care of as a result of, my new role. Am I allowed to be closer to competitive gaming and esports? I think the answer to that is yes. But I am also a guy, if you know my history, I've been streaming for about 6 or 7 years. I started off as early as, using Nullsoft Video back when Shoutcast was trying to put together a codec, and used QuickTime Broadcaster. Eventually went on to use a service called Stickum that was adapted from the Japanese. That eventually led to Ustream, which eventually led to Justin, which led to Twitch. And so I have a big invested interest in video streaming, and think it's one of the keys to professional gaming and esports and just gaming in general, really getting some much needed exposure. So for me, while esports is a part of that, I also feel like the video streaming side of it is really important to me. So it's not, I don't necessarily view that as esports directly. I hope that I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because I want people to know that yes, while there's a lot of esports initiatives I have at Twitch, I'm a broadcaster. I've been using this technology for years. There's stuff that I want as a broadcaster. There's stuff that I know the streamers want as streamers, and I want to bring my expertise to get. I want everyone and their mom who plays a game professionally to be streaming online. I think is the coolest thing. I think about when Quake was at its prime, and I think about what would it be like if 04 or CZM or Fatality would have been streaming every day Quake matches. I think that people's minds would have been fucking blown. And I want that to happen. It's we've already seen this amazing movement. I want to push that as far as I possibly can. So it's just really a great thing that there is already a synergy between esports, competitive gaming, and that. Because it allows me to be more involved. I mean, obviously more involved than working at a banking institution, right? So
your actual title is esports manager. Can you kind of give us a rundown of your maybe daily responsibilities?
Sure. I'll tell you straight up, esports manager is really vague, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it just allows me to sort of set a precedence on the types of things I'm working on, because I would love to add in there guy who implements features. I have ideas. I can't code them, but there's a just amazing team there who has already put together some awesome technology, and I can say, hey guys, what if we had this? What if we could do this? How do we make this better? So from one standpoint, sort of a technology advocate. But as far as an esports manager, we want to make it as beneficial for all the esports organizations that are choosing to use Twitch. For them, we want to build features that will work better for them, help them interface live video streaming with their website. So working with a lot of the esports organizations to make sure that they're getting what they need. So day to day can just be having meetings regarding bringing on new partners, or just working on existing relationships and things like that. I mean, obviously been around in professional gaming for a while, so it's kind of nice to be able to work with some of the guys that I've worked with for years now, and introduce some of the guys that I've worked with to video streaming as well.
So Twitch TV is headquartered in San Francisco. It is an offshoot of Justin TV, and unlike I guess maybe unlike most of the gamers in the esports scene, you have a family, you have a son. Have you ever considered moving your family to San Francisco?
I mean, all I can say right now is that, you know, obviously I think that everyone would love it if we could be right there in the office. Even though the job is like a lot of travel, there's quite a bit going on. I'm spending a lot of time out there, and so, you know, yeah, we've thought about it. But, you know, right now, I'm still focusing on the One More Game stuff, focusing on, you know, not only the Twitch stuff, but also traveling and casting, and it just makes more sense, and it's easier for me and my family. Sounds like MC1, dude. I'm really excited about that, man.
MVP was undefeated up until that point.
He said he was going to take this, and I think it's awesome that he's been getting the job done. But anyway, you know, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. I think that we're now in another time, another era. You know, people a lot of times don't realize that I've been through this once. Like, you know, this is sort of the second coming of opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. And the first time, while it was great, it's still, after what looked like several years of sustainability, kind of collapsed a little bit. And the landscape's changed quite a bit. There's a lot different. So there are certainly more opportunities, a little bit more stability. So again, nothing's out of the picture, but right now we're good where we're at.
I think you mentioned before, when you worked at a banking institution, you would, you know, go to work 9 to 5, come home, and then almost immediately it was on to One More Game TV stuff, and that your wife and your son was very supportive of your work. Now that you're in esports full time, do you get to spend more time with your wife and son? Is the family dynamic a little bit more different, maybe better?
It absolutely is. I mean, a lot changes, right? Because before it was, go to work, you're away from, you know, the house, and then you come home. Then I'm sort of on air, which it's just like sort of isolates myself a little bit from everything. But now I get the opportunity, like I get to take my kid to school every day. I get to pick him up before the shows. Like, yes, I have freedoms that I didn't have before, and it's awesome. So, you know, I was always willing to make the sacrifice and do the work, but obviously it's beneficial when you get benefits like, you know, hanging out with your family more.
So speaking of One More Game, you do broadcast 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and your shows have really gained in popularity. You've been gaining sponsors to fund the shows, and brought in people to help with the production. So now it's pretty much very streamlined. You get on, you do the show, and everything goes like it is. So how do you think that you have progressed since your initial launch of One More Game TV?
You know, it's a great question. I'm going to give you a really honest answer. I've been blown away by the amount of, you know, viewer support and just the community in general. But frankly, I'm a perfectionist, and I feel like there's a million things we could have done better. I like the fact that we kind of launched without a massive amount of hype behind it, because, you know, to me, it was a lot more like a name change, right? I was doing a lot of this stuff under the djWHEAT.tv moniker, but I want to bring on more stuff. I want to try to get more talent involved in producing shows and stuff. So with those things comes new problems, growing pains, etc. And so, you know, frankly, I you know, feel like we need more people helping in certain areas, or we could be promoting better, or you know, doing this part of the show better. So, you know, part of it's just me. I want to, you know, I want to create perfection. I want to create the best shows possible. I want the audience to have, you know, VODs and MP3s and everything that, you know, however they want to consume it. So, you know, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I'm completely stoked, but I don't know that I'll never, ever be satisfied. You know, like, I will just keep on adding shows and maybe if that means even removing shows to try to make room for other stuff that I think people want. Examples like I got a chance to cast a Quake Live competition last like 2 Sundays ago, man. And I'm like, fuck, we do too much StarCraft, Like, I love StarCraft, obviously, but those are the games that I grew up on, the reason I am here is because of a title like Quake. I feel that those need and should get as much attention as everything else out there. So, hopefully one day I'll completely fulfill that dream, but it's been great. I feel like there's still so much more to do.
So I guess if you had to maybe pick one thing that's maybe on your mind right now, like for one more game, maybe one improvement that you're really working towards right now, and maybe a new show, anything.
Absolutely, it would be the addition of, actually, I think it'd be fair to say either the return of Epileptic Gaming or possibly Call and Brawl, which is a show I did on djWHEAT.tv. And I feel like it really kind of fits the mold, and it might break the monotony of gaming a little bit. Even though we talked about gaming a lot, it was just everything else. So I'm absolutely have a huge desire to bring one of those shows back very, very soon.
So maybe in 2 years from now, where would you like one more game to be? I know you said that you're a perfectionist, but
yeah, wow. Gosh, I don't know that I've even thought that far ahead. One of the things I really liked about what we were able to accomplish at One More Game with and what my opinion is a pretty light crew. We have about 6 or 7 people that really handle everything from the website to actual content creation itself. And when the Masters Cup was on, or we were doing the Quake stuff, and we did it in conjunction with the shows, I felt like that's what people really want out of a sort of pro gaming network, is the ability to tune in to maybe some programming, and then immediately following, get to watch some StarCraft or some Quake, or maybe be able to play some Street Fighter with one of the pros, or something like that. The combination of this sort of talk show hosted programming and combining what we used to do back in the Team Sportscast Network and the Inside the Game days when we were all radio, and that was you'd have your match broadcast for several days of the week, and then occasionally you'd have Epileptic Gaming on there. And I want to sort of bring that back. I want more match coverage, more maybe opportunities for people to provide match coverage, because frankly, the other thing too is I want to see less of me. I mean, I want more people. One of the things I've always loved doing is fostering new talent and bringing them in. And I'm ready. Where's the next generation of stars? A lot of them are around us, but I think there's a few out there that just have to apply themselves, and suddenly, we'll just have a lot more content to consume. So
hopefully, I know there are a lot of people who are looking to get into it. But speaking of the old days, because you are, one of the older people in esports, and talking about Quake, let's talk about Quake now.
Sure.
Do you see a possibility of Quake Live or any Quake in its current form being a success as an esport, or do we need a new type of first-person, 1v1 first-person shooter out of either the Quake series or a different series?
My thoughts on it are as follows. I feel like a brand new deathmatch game that was similar to Quake, even if it was Quake 5, would make it easier, right? Because right now we are missing a deathmatch title. Mm-hmm. We have plenty of team FPSs. We got the new Go coming out. Where's our Unreal Tournament? Where's our Painkiller? Where's our Quake? They don't. One doesn't exist right now. So the closest thing we have is Quake Live. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I feel like with the right community, player, and tournament effort, that Quake still has what I like to call the magic. I feel like there were 3,000 people watching that Quake match, not because necessarily they were all old school Quake fans, because they were willing to try something new, and they were like, holy shit, this is kind of cool. Maybe I should follow this a little bit more. Maybe I need to, be more involved in this, or check this out a little bit more. Yeah. it only takes a few times for that to happen before someone's like, I'm sold. I think about how many StarCraft fans are now like fighting game fans just from like some of the crossovers that have existed there. Like, oh, hey, I finally tuned into that fighting game stream, and oh my gosh, I love Street Fighter, and it was great. I watched it for 6 hours. Boom. We've done it. Whatever happened there, it was right. I feel like Quake has that magic. It needs a community. And when I say the community effort, really, I think it's getting new people to play the game, educating them how to play the game, show them the potential that's out there. Obviously, none of these guys are going to be stepping up and defeating CZM or 0-4 in a matter of weeks. But you know what? Like, one of the things that was so great about even game battles or the old Cal model is that you have tiering, right? So you have the ability to say, you shouldn't be playing with Rafa, so you're going to play down here with guys at your level, but it gave them something to work towards and move up. We're missing that right now, and even in StarCraft, I mean, it's built in through Battle.net, but there's only a few guys out there that are like, okay, here's a silver level tournament, here's a bronze level tournament. So I think that making those efforts would really help out a lot. The question is who's going to make those efforts, right?
Yeah. So one of the issues, though, with Quake, I mean, it's such an old series, was that the reactions and everything happened so fast, and I guess back in the day, the original Quake, the internet was not quite as good as it is now, and there was a lot of issues playing online. A lot of pro players did not like to do it. So with that regard, is there anything? Do you think some of the modern technologies, like you mentioned, streaming, could really help a new Quake game or a new Unreal Tournament game be sustainable?
Well, it certainly makes it more accessible. The other thing it does is it gives players an opportunity to earn revenue that wasn't there before. Like, I mean, I would watch 0-4 Scrim all the time. That'd be amazing. I don't think we've seen like a professional FPS player in deathmatch fire up a stream and just stream. No one's done it. No one's even attempted it yet. We've had a show match here or there, but it's just not being done. Would someone like that garnish thousands of listeners right away? Probably not, or viewers right away, probably not. But if the tournament scene picked up, if there was more community involvement with it, then yeah, I certainly see that as being a possibility. And I mean, I think people can I think their eyes can translate Quake easily. Even if you have no clue what's going on, it's like, wow, that rocket was awesome. Like, how did he do that? So I think that means a lot, and sort of the magic of the game too. So
yeah, I remember seeing some crazy rail shots in my day, and I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, so one of the things you mentioned previously was the crossover between games, how StarCraft 2 fans have now become fighting game fans and vice versa. Do you think we need to see more crossover? I know you are like the biggest preacher of esports as a whole over one game. Is there a way, I guess the question is there a way to foster more crossover between communities?
I think that, it's just called give things a chance. Like, we as gamers are occasionally so fickle about what we choose to watch or choose not to watch, and it kind of angers me a little bit to just go like, why won't you at least give it a chance? Like, if you watch it and it's not your cup of tea, fair enough. But if you watch it and you're like, whoa, this has been missing from my life, where have you been, Quake? Then that's great. And more times than not, you see people go through this evolution, this like mental sort of, I guess justification, whatever, where they're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, this is good. Maybe now I'll check out a different game. And the reason why I'm such a big advocate about it is because I was one of those guys. When I casted Quake, as far as I was concerned, every other game was dead to me. It didn't matter. Like Counter-Strike, StarCraft, what's that game? Like, that's like little guys fighting each other. I mean, this was a long time ago, like 96, 97. But it wasn't until I attended like 2 or 3 major events where I still really started to realize, like, for all this to really work, I have to give the same amount of support to this game over here that I'm giving to this game. Otherwise, I'm just like not really like giving just due to the everything going on here. Like, and I think it still rings true. So, when I see guys booing games or, not giving it a chance, or it's just like, okay, you're missing out. It's unfortunate. And I know that everything's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that if people would just, give Quake a chance, give Street Fighter a chance, check out that Halo final that is going on. And I get tweets all the time like, I'm glad I checked it out. This was awesome. So I don't know. I just gotta keep on fighting. I guess I'll keep on preaching, man.
Yep. Somebody's got to do the preaching. I know me personally. I tuned into the Canada Cup, and that was like the most extensive fighting game that I've watched in a single weekend. And it was pretty awesome. So I guess in closing, a lot of people, there's a lot of hype around this year as the golden year of esports. Like everything's blowing up, and everyone's trying to predict what will happen next year. Realistically, where do you see us next year? I mean. Me personally, I don't think that we're going to be growing, at this fast a rate all the time.
I think that there's a lot of interesting things on the horizon. And I think one thing you have to consider is like when you say how we're growing, are we looking at it as like a single game? Are we looking at it as like esports and competitive gaming in general? Because we've got Dota 2 on the horizon. We've got League of Legends now releasing its spectator mod, giving the community the opportunity to run, more robust tournaments. And StarCraft 2 is obviously beginning to grow. We have the potential for maybe another movement of Quake to happen. I know that even my good buddy Too Good is trying to figure out some way to sort of really, bring Quake back to the spotlight. And these efforts are certainly out there. More and more people are getting involved, more money's getting involved, more sponsors are taking note, more people are tuning into the stream. It's becoming more acceptable in the mainstream. So, all of these things point to growth. I have a hard time believing that at this point we're capable of going backwards, but at the same time, I think that we cannot, as sort of a community, as fans, as an audience, as casters, as content creators, as writers, we cannot be content with where we're at. We got to where we are now through years and years of hard work and people keeping at it and great games coming up and awesome players rising to the top, and that's going to continue to happen. But honestly, the community support, the coverage that we've seen with StarCraft and Street Fighter and the new streamers, like that to me is just as important as the new sponsors coming in and the new tournaments that are popping up. So I don't know that we will see the same explosion in 2012, but I do feel like we can only grow at this point if we all just sort of continue to support it the way it's being supported. And people just got to remember that we've been in the golden years before and it's fallen on its face. So, that's one of the reasons why I do Live on 3. It's like we want people to know that, hey, the reason why we think it's really bad that this tournament messed up is because it happened 5 years ago and it didn't need to happen again. We could have learned from our mistakes, but in this case it didn't happen. That kind of stuff is really important. Like, I know a lot of people think that esports is new and fresh, but newsflash, it's been around for like 13, 14 years. It's pretty old. We can't be making the same mistakes. So it's up to us to just be aware of that and keep powering forward.
All right, so finally, with that regard, if there's someone, a young person working with in esports, maybe a year or two now, if you had to give them one modicum of advice, what would it be?
I think the best advice that I could honestly ever give anyone, and really to that regard, the same advice I gave myself early on was that you can talk about doing something or you can just do it. And, I get guys all the time like, we don't want to start a show. Sweet, start a show. You do 5 episodes, I'll check it out. I'm happy to do that kind of thing. But the best thing you can do for yourself is to just do it. If you're thinking about throwing a tournament, figure out how to make it happen and just do it. All these guys in esports, all the big teams, you look at a team like Evil Genius's Complexity, they are where they're at because some guy was like, I'm going to start a team. I'll just do it. And here they are now, big sponsors, Korean partnerships, the same thing goes with Sundance and his team of folks who said, let's do this, let's take something that we've done in our garages and for fun and let's make it into something big. This all started not because someone was like, hey, I had an idea, okay, great idea. You just have to act. If more people acted, instead of looking for approval or just thrown up a tournament or written that article or submitted something, like, we'll just be that, in that much of a better place. So it's the best advice I can give, man.
All right. Well, I'm sure that will hopefully help and inspire a whole new generation of esports.
I hope so.
People. So, with that regard, do you have any final comments, shout-outs, words of wisdom?
All I'd like to say is, thanks to everyone who tuned in. Thanks for watching MLG this weekend. It was an awesome season. The national championship so far is definitely not disappointed. I expect tomorrow to be absolutely amazing. So hopefully you guys all checked it out. Keep on supporting your communities, your bar crafts, your local competitions, the players that are around you. If you're one of your buddies as a player, support them. Whatever your favorite team, it really goes a long ways. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you'll check out all my shows on One More Game, and hope I'll see you streaming on Twitch, and hope next year we'll see you live at an MLG event. Thanks a lot. Peace.
Thanks. This is Ted Ottey for ESFI World.